Blackhole's input can be configured for mono or stereo operation using the switch below the connector. When connecting mono to Blackhole, only a regular instrument cable is necessary. When connecting a stereo pedal, make sure the switch is set to stereo and use an insert cable to connect your device. For example, to connect an Eventide H9 in stereo, connect the tip plug of your insert cable to output 1 of the H9, the left output. Connect the ring plug to output 2, the right output. Connect the TRS end to Blackhole's input. When connecting high impedance signals like guitars or basses, make sure the input-output level switch is set to guitar. For line level signals like keyboards, synthesizers, or audio interfaces, set it to line level. If you're using Blackhole in the effects loop of an amplifier, typically this should also be set to line level. Route the amp's effects send to Blackhole's input with the switch set to mono. Then connect Blackhole's out1 to the return of the effects loop. When the pedal functions in mono mode and you're connecting to another mono pedal, connect an instrument cable from out1 to the input of the next pedal. If you wish to run Blackhole in stereo, simply add another instrument cable from out2 to the right channel input of the next pedal. Even when Blackhole's input is set to mono, the pedal functions in stereo if both outs are connected. Something to note, when in stereo mode, the tip of the TRS connector at the input corresponds to the left channel, and the ring corresponds to the right channel. They get routed to out1 and out2 respectively. The USB Mini B connector serves a dual purpose. Connect Blackhole to your computer with the appropriate cable and take advantage of the Eventide Device Manager software to update your pedal's firmware and access preset management tools. Or use it for MIDI over USB with MIDI controllers that have USB host capabilities, like the Disaster Area Design's 3rd generation DPC series controllers. It is even possible to use your iPad as a MIDI controller for Blackhole. Connect the pedal with the appropriate USB adapter and Mini B USB cable. Using an app like MIDI Designer Pro 2, you can do things like program knobs to control the pedal's parameters, create buttons to send program changes, or generate sliders to control expression mappings. If you power up the pedal with the active foot switch and page button pressed, the blinking top 2 LEDs on the preset ladder indicate you have entered System Settings. Here you can adjust 6 different features, like set the EXP input functionality, choose bypass mode, engage MIDI clock, assign a MIDI channel, put the pedal in kill dry mode, and activate a knob catch-up feature. Let's talk about the EXP input, which can be configured to one of 5 modes. Press the page button to select one of 5 modes on the preset ladder: Expression Pedal plus Auxiliary Switch, Triple, MIDI Box, and MIDI TRS. Expression Pedal is the default setting. When using either of the first 2 modes, Eventide recommends using an expression pedal with a 10 kΩ to 25 kΩ potentiometer. When in EXP mode, it's recommended to use a TRS cable for compatibility with a wider range of expression pedals. Always connect the cable to your expression pedal first, then to the EXP input. Afterwards, move the treadle back and forth so that Blackhole can automatically calibrate properly. In the second mode, EXP+AUX, you can use an insert cable to connect an expression pedal and a tap tempo switch that is automatically mapped to control Blackhole's delay time. The tip plug should be connected to the pedal and the ring plug to the switch. Please keep in mind that certain expression pedals that have TRS inputs will not work properly when connected with a single TS cable. For this mode, seek out TS expression pedals that have their pots wired as rheostats, where the wiper and reference voltage pins of the pot are wired to tip and the ground end to sleeve. We recommend the Mission Engineering SPH9 or any pedal that has a TS option. Otherwise, using a regular TS connector in a pedal that normally takes a TRS will inadvertently tie the end terminals of the internal pot together, exhibiting a 0 to 100 and back to 0 sweep range. Blackhole won't even respond in this case. If you want to use a TRS expression pedal in EXP+AUX mode, there is a way around this with a custom cable. Take a regular insert cable and replace the tip plug with a TRS plug. Wire them tip to tip and sleeve to sleeve, leaving ring disconnected. This cable configuration will allow you to use the same expression pedals that would normally work in EXP mode with this mode as well. For example, my trusty Dunlop DVP4 normally works fine in EXP mode with a TRS cable. If I switch to EXP+AUX mode and try to connect it with the tip plug of a regular insert cable, it won't work. But if I use my custom cable, it works without issue. Here's another tip. In the event you only want to use the EXP input for tap tempo, set the pedal to EXP+AUX mode. Because tap tempo functionality is normalized to the ring plug of an insert cable, you could use a TRS to dual TS cable and just connect the ring end to a switch. As you can see, having a dangling cable is not optimal. As an alternative, you can make a custom cable with a TRS plug on the Blackhole end and the TS plug on the switch end. Wire it tip to ring and sleeve to sleeve, leaving tip disconnected on the TRS side. Now you have one neat cable for a single tap tempo switch. When the EXP input is set to triple, you can connect a 3-button foot switch using a TRS cable. The switch wired to tip is mapped to increment preset, while the switch wired to ring is mapped to decrement preset. The tip plus ring switch is mapped to load the preset. Please note, if you don't load your preset after scrolling, it will time out after a few seconds. When the EXP input is set to MIDI box, you can use an external MIDI 5-pin DIN to TRS converter to send MIDI via TRS. Some good examples are the Disaster Area Designs MIDI box, the similarly named Chase Bliss MIDI box, or the Maris MIDI I/O. And finally, MIDI TRS mode uses normal MIDI opto isolation, allowing you to use an adapter cable to go directly from a standard DIN jack to TRS. Disaster Area Designs offers two 5-pin DIN to 1/4-inch MIDI cables, the 5P-TRS or the 5P-QQ, both good options. You can also use this mode to daisy chain to other MIDI over TRS capable pedals. Eventide pedals give you the ability to easily map parameters to an expression pedal. As long as the EXP mode is set to expression pedal or expression pedal plus aux switch, you can use this feature to turn any group of knobs all at once, allowing for smooth transitions of the effect for both subtle and dramatic changes. In order to accomplish this, you simply need to set endpoints for heel and toe. Start by putting the expression pedal in the heel position. Adjust the knobs to your minimum or starting points. Then, move the pedal to the toe position and adjust the knobs to your end or maximum settings. Listen to the effect morph between min and max points as you rock the pedal back and forth. You can make an adjustment at any time, just be careful to put the pedal in the right position. A common mistake when you first start out mapping expression settings is only setting one endpoint without its counterpart. My favorite strategy is to work with one knob at a time, going back and forth from heel to toe, setting min and max points for every parameter that will influence my sound. That way, I ensure every start position has a corresponding endpoint. something to keep in mind: you may set the minimum value to be greater than the maximum value. When you do so, as the pedal moves towards the toe, the parameter value will decrease. Finally, don't forget to save your settings. Otherwise, if you navigate to a different preset without first saving, you'll lose your hard work. To clear the expression pedal mappings for the knobs, hold the active foot switch and, while holding, press the active button until the preset ladder LEDs flash twice. The next adjustable feature in system settings is determining the bypass mode, which can be set by pressing the active button to choose between buffered, relay, and DSP+effects. This is also where you can adjust whether or not the pedal runs in kill-dry mode. The first option, which is also the pedal's default mode, is buffered. Buffered is the best mode for when you're connecting your guitar to the input, but may be connecting the output to a non-instrument input. Non-instrument inputs are often low impedance, and will load the guitar output and change its tone. Buffered bypass allows Blackhole to act as a buffer, providing a low impedance output capable of driving any device input or cable length. Relay is optimal if you want to ensure a hardwired connection from input to output when bypassed. This is otherwise known as true bypass. It's important to pay attention to your level setting on the back of the pedal and make sure you're connecting devices with matching impedances. Otherwise, Blackhole will not have unity gain and may result in a level change whenever you bypass. If this happens, try buffered or the next option, DSP+effects. DSP+effects combines the audio at the DSP's inputs with the DSP's outputs and stops sending any new signal to the DSP effects inputs. DSP+effects mode makes it possible to bypass the effect without abruptly killing the tail of the effect. If you recall my explanation of the momentary active foot switch functionality, this is my favorite setting to prevent your reverb tails from getting chopped off. Pressing the active button again starts the ladder over, but with the last LED on, indicating that this pedal is in kill-dry mode. In this mode, no dry signal is sent to the outputs, only the effect. The mix knob simply adjusts the effect level. Use this if you're running the pedal through a mixer's send and return loop, or on some guitar amps' effects loops, especially if they run it in parallel. The active foot switch takes care of turning MIDI clock on or off. The default is off, delineated by all LEDs on the preset ladder being off. Pressing the foot switch will turn the LEDs on, indicating the pedal will adjust the delay time based on the MIDI clock it receives from an external device. When MIDI clock is on, the delay parameter will no longer be adjustable anywhere from 0 to 2000 milliseconds, but rather, it will allow you to access common subdivisions spread across the knob that will sync to the MIDI tempo the pedal receives. The freeze button takes care of assigning the MIDI channel on which Blackhole will respond. The default is Omni, delineated by all LEDs on. Continuously pressing the button will run through all 16 MIDI channels. Use this handy table to see which lit LEDs correspond to the MIDI channel number you're trying to set. Lastly, we can adjust the catch-up mode by pressing the freeze foot switch. The default is catch-up mode off, indicated by all LEDs off on the preset ladder. With all LEDs on, catch-up mode is engaged. Why would you even need catch-up mode? Picture this. You're performing with Blackhole on a setting that has the size knob all the way up. Then, you decide you want to access the modulation depth, so you page over to the secondary set of controls to make your adjustment. When you go back to the primary set of controls, the size knob setting does not correspond to the actual current value of the size parameter because of that modulation adjustment. Moving the size knob could lead to a monumental shift in audio as a result. To make up for this, Blackhole has a catch-up mode where the knob will have no effect on the signal until it catches up to the actual value of the parameter. When catch-up mode is on, the LED ladder will indicate which direction you need to turn the knob in order to reach the catch-up point. If the top LED blinks, you need to move the knob counterclockwise. If the bottom LED blinks, you need to move the knob clockwise. The closer you get to the catch-up point, the faster the LED will blink. Once you reach the point, all LEDs flash and the knob is once again in control of the parameter and will directly affect the audio. Keep in mind, if you change presets, it's likely that the knob position will not correspond to the actual parameter values, and they will need to be caught up in order to take effect. Because catch-up mode is a global control, you need to make a decision as to what mode best suits your needs. Once you've made your system settings, simply power cycle the pedal to store them. While all the system settings can be made directly on the pedal, they are also available on the Eventide Device Manager software. Blackhole's remarkable sound has been used on hundreds of recordings and sci-fi films. For example, in Prometheus, it created the large cavernous soundscapes that evoked eerie, unsettling emotions. Skywalker sound used it on numerous film productions, and it can be heard throughout Blade Runner 2049's soundtrack, enhancing the film's disturbing atmosphere. Now you can take advantage of this magnificent reverb right on stage or in your studio with this dedicated pedal. My name is Joe Cozzi with Eventide. Thank you for taking the time to learn about Blackhole.